my name's Anita and this is Ted, and we're going to make some sage tea today. So out of the garden we've got some sage, beautiful green, and you can see the purpley grey younger sprouts, little shoots coming up. And we're going to show you how to make sage tea with ginger and sage tea by itself. So you can use the fresh sage, or you can use commercially dried sage tea from the shop. And the same with the ginger. You can use fresh ginger, or you can use dried ginger. So let me just show you what it looks like. See that? Dried ginger. So let's start with some fresh sage. And Ted's going to just have sage by itself. I'm going to use a tea strainer. Just going to chop our sage. And Ted's just going for a bit of a backflip. There you go, Ted. Hang on to your cup. Okay, so just chop up the sage. Just releases all the flavour by chopping it. Okay, now it do tell you in my book and in other tea books about 2 teaspoons. It's a bit hard to measure, but I just chop some up. And about half of your tea bowl needs to be full of it so that the water can get around and get the flavour. So you just pop that in your cup, add some boiling water, and let it sit for about 5 minutes. So next, we'll sit poor Ted up. Ted's a bit old. Some ginger. Just, if you know your ginger's organic or it's homegrown and you've washed it really well, you can leave the skin on. But mine's shop raw today, so I'll just take all that off and get a nice piece of ginger and just chop it up. Just rough, doesn't have to be. I think you can grate it if you like. Especially if you're going to actually drink it with the ginger grated's nice. So I'm going to put it into the pot here with some sage. Chop that up. Nice and rough. Doesn't have to be perfect. My kind of cooking. Throw it into your teapot. And fill your pot up with water. It's a good idea to heat your pot before you put your tea in it, just so that the temperature from the water doesn't get taken away from your tea. So that's got to sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. So while we're doing that, I thought I'd show you how something else to use your sage for. So grab your sage, chop it up, nice and fine this time. So put the tea over here. I'm going to make some sage butter. Now you can use this with your steak. So if you're having steak for dinner, you can cook your steak and then put a slab of this on top of it, and it is beautiful. So I'm just chopping up some garlic. Beautiful piece of the Australian garlic. Comes from on the Gold Coast. Just chop that up nice and fine. And if you don't eat meat and you're a vegetable person, you can put this on your veggies. It's really nice if you make it beforehand, and if you've got some spaghetti squash and you cook your spaghetti squash and then melt those on top, it is just beautiful. So you just get your butter, and mine's been out of the fridge for a while, and just give it a good mush. If you were making huge amounts, you could use a blender or a mix master and squish it all up. But just for today, I'll just do it by hand. Get it nice and soft. Just continually mushing it. Add your garlic. Let's do it right. Add your garlic. Add your sage. Mush it all in together. And if you're like me, I'm a finger person, so just mush it in with your fingers. And now you've got this beautiful butter. Now, some people like to wrap this in plastic and put it in the freezer. And once you put it in the freezer, you've got a really nice hard piece, and you can slice it into medallions to put on top of your steak. But as you can see, you can do it quite easily. Wait for you. Quite easily just with your fingers. Sage. And then when you go to use it, you chop it into a nice piece. This. Got all that beautiful, okay, is it better? I can see that. The sage and garlic. You just put those pieces. So I'm going to use this for tea tonight, so I'll just be putting it back in the fridge. And they will melt on top of your steak or on your veggies, however you like it. So it's just a cool little idea. You use your sage. Now, for women who are going through menopause, sage is great for hot flushes and anxiety. Sage can also be used for sore throats as a mouth gargle and for bad breath. And Chinese medicine use it for heart health. So you've got lots of different reasons. Now you can see, my hands are nice and buttery now. You can see that Ted's tea has been sitting here while we've been doing that, and it's changed colour. It's got a nice green tinge to it. Okay, so Ted, there's your tea. The longer you let your tea steep, the stronger the flavour will be. So just try it after 5 minutes, see if you like it. If you want it a bit stronger, leave it a bit longer. Simple. And you can see mine's a little bit lighter. Now the ginger will be changing the colour slightly, and also it's a bigger pot and it hasn't steeped as long. Just pour a bit to show you. You can see it's quite pale. As that sits for a bit longer, it'll get a lot darker. It'll go dark like Ted's is. So I hope you enjoyed my little video. Next week I'll be doing a video on peppermint, and we'll be looking at peppermint tea and peppermint chocolate mousse. So I hope you can join me. Bye.